Hello, day traders. Why are American and Canadian markets closed today? What prospects are ahead of Bitcoin? Does the US dollar need safe haven status? Watch the wrap-up of the North American session to find the answers to these questions. Let's go. On Friday, the US stock market closed in the red. The Nasdaq incurred the heaviest losses of 1.2%. The Dow Jones and the S&P500 closed 0.7% down each. Last week, investors preferred to sell risky assets and shares. Market optimism was dampened by expectations of the looming rate hike by the Fed Reserve and the threat of Russia's military invasion of Ukraine. On Sunday, the market benefited from the phone talks between French President Emmanuel Macron and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. The meeting between the United States and Russian presidents was fixed through the mediation of the French President. On the other hand, the hostility of the Ukrainian border escalated over the weekend. Besides, Russia and Belarus extended to joint military drills in the areas in proximity to the borders. Thus, the stock market is unlikely to regain its footing this week. Today, American trading floors are closed on the occasion of the federal holiday, President's Day. Moreover, the overall trend in the market remains bearish. The S&P 500 has lost 0.72% today to trade at 4,349. The expected corridor for the index is seen between 4,330 and 4,390. Though the US dollar retains its status of a safe haven asset, it loses ground whatever the tensions around Ukraine is. This what is happening now, and perhaps the conflict will be settled during the talks between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. To preface the meeting between the state leaders, the US State Secretary and his Russian counterpart are due to meet on February 24. And analysts reckon the conflict will hardly reach the boiling point before this date. It means that the US dollar will edge down. It's an index that measures the greenback's strength against the 6 major currencies is retracing. For example, against the euro, the index fell to settle above 96.00, and today it has already tested the level of 95.71 and climbed to 95.99. If the hostility outweighs, the US dollar index is expected to decline the corridor between 95.40 and 96.00. On Friday, traders found out that US existing home sales rose 6.7% in January. High demand for homes had been pushing prices up for a long time, and this is widely argument for the Federal Reserve to resort to a rate hike in the near future. The new housing price index also increased in Canada last month. The index climbed to 0.9% in January on month from 0.2% a month ago. In annual terms, it edged up to 11.8% from 11.6%. On the flip side, retail sales in Canada sharply contracted to minus 1.8% on months in December, and the USD CAD pair is now consolidating in the corridor between 1.26 and 1.28. Today, Canadian markets are also closed because of the public holiday, Family Day. Hence, the USD CAD pair is set to trade quietly with a slightly downward bias amid rising oil prices. Investors exit the crypto market due to soaring inflation and the prospects of monetary tightening. Many analysts have detected the correlation between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq and the high-tech ingredients of the S&P 500. The flagship cryptocurrency seems to spook investors as a risky asset, so the digital token is still trading under selling pressure, having lost support at $40,000. On Saturday, Bitcoin slipped below 38,000 and regained its footing for a while. Currently, the most popular crypto is trading at nearly $37,463 with a overall bearish trend. Bitcoin has lost almost 4% intraday. If the price breaks the lower border of the corridor between 37,557 and 39,379, the crypto will find support at $32,000, $30,000 and $28,000. Judging by the recent dynamic in the crypto market, experts foresee another market downturn around the corner. And this week, we predict growth in the equity market amid diplomatic efforts to tackle the Russia-Ukraine crisis. The US stock market could also benefit from a series of macroeconomic data. Feel free to leave your comments and ask any question. And that's all for today. See you tomorrow.